to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everybody. See, I put my glasses on so I can actually see. First, we have the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second?
Go ahead, I'll second.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns?
I just had a question. What is the agony of the club?
So, good question. It is a club that was created by a retired teacher when he was still employed here. It has to do with cross country. It was created in honor of a cross country athlete who had passed.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, next is President, Vice President report. The only thing that, I think, let me read this check. The only thing, or the things that I wanted to talk about first is we do have our workshop set up for December 9th. It's specifically focused on the process to update and modify our board goals. This is going to be, I think, a very important workshop for us, depending on what happens with the vote. We will have some extremely hard decisions, I think, to make. And in order to make them and keep them consistent, we're gonna need to update our goals either way, good or bad. As far as the public's concerned, all I can say is please come out and vote. I mean, what we need to do is set our goals based on what our constituents have to say. And we need as much input as we can possibly get. So, like I said, the workshop will be more about the how to do it, not actually determining what our goals are, because doing that, we need to do that in public. But it's, I think I hope it'll be a very informative, but a very important workshop for the board, and leading to whatever the direction is from our constituents, the actions that we need to take, the goals we need to set to get there. Second is we have started the RFP process for our attorneys. I don't know where we stand on that, Cheryl, like date wise.
Yeah, so we're, oh yeah, I'm sorry, can you just help me out and remember the date of when we asked for those to be turned in? I think it was the
November, I believe it's November 22nd.
Yeah.
Yes, legal RFPs are due at noon on Friday, November 22nd.
Yeah, thank you. So once we get those in, then we'll let you know, and then you'll start picking some dates to review and then have them come in for interviews.
Okay. And then the last thing, and not really a report, it's more of a question. I mean, personally, I think we have exhausted our options on the gazebo. We've tried everything that we can think of. We put it out to the public. We tried to, or the group that was supporting the gazebo tried to get the funds necessary to allow us to upgrade it. So, I mean, I think we need to start moving forward in taking it down. If there is if there's any specific architectural pieces that maybe we can use someplace else, we should look at that. We're gonna need to put together a plan for moving forward on that. We just can't, I'm really afraid that leaving it for another winter. If we get a heavy snow, it could come down, somebody could get hurt. And like I said, I mean, personally, I think we've exhausted every avenue we could to try and save the structure. So, Elliot, if we can, you know, get some estimates on what it would take to clean that up. I mean,
We had a preliminary number of about 20,000. I can get an updated figure.
okay. Okay, and, you know, like I said, if there's anything, that the public wants to suggest, you know, I know I wanna say one of the pieces of the roof was in keeping with architecture from, some kind of nine partners or somewhere up there. Maybe we can put that aside, maybe we can figure out a way to use some pieces of it so that we don't lose the memory of it, but
The only concern there would be if there's any sort of lead paint
Yeah.
or other hazmat
Yep.
associated, that would be abandoned, affecting integrity during deconstruction.
yep, absolutely. So anyway, we need to get moving on that and, you know, hopefully before anything, it goes any further, it deteriorates any further, we can get moving on that. And that's all I had for tonight. Chris, do you have anything?
No, you covered it.
I
Okay.
had a question for workshop, is that, will a representative from this, well, perfect.
Yeah,
because
they'll lead,
Yeah.
they'll, you know, hopefully we don't have to try to figure out how to run a workshop.
Right, I had attended a talk on that entire process,
Yeah.
setting goal, board and district goals, and it was really eye-opening, so I think it's gonna be really helpful to have someone.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm hoping we get real directives,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, positive or negative. That's not really, I mean, we put it out there because we believe in it, but positive or negative, as long as it's the vast majority of our constituents. That has to lead us to what our next board goals are.
Mhm.
Okay, nothing else? Caroline?
Good evening, everyone. So as far as instruction goes, our first quarter's come to a close and now our building level teams will be working, or is coming to a close, and now our building level teams will be working on looking over the performance data to make decisions about interventions that students will receive in the coming weeks. I want to congratulate our Blue Ribbon Blazer for the month of October, Mrs. Anna Nairati. Anna is the coordinator for ENL and is a full-time teacher here in the district, teaching both Spanish and English to speakers of other languages. You will see that from my report that department is doing a significant amount of work. They're working to create formative assignments aligned to the writing portion of the NYSESLAT, and they chose this. The NYSESLAT, for anyone who is unfamiliar, is actually the annual test that they give to English language learners to measure their progress with language acquisition. And there's multiple components, one of them being writing, and that is the component that students tend to struggle with. That's why they chose that as the target area for this work. They're also creating a user-friendly classroom guide for teachers that provide quick data and strategies for supporting students who have achieved specific levels of language proficiency. So one of the things, which I believe I've explained to the board before, is that they start with like an entering emerging status and it goes all the way through commanding the language. And so as students move across the progression, there's sort of predictable strategies that they might need or different scaffolds that might be effective in working with them. So we're going to pilot this with a couple of teachers to get the feedback and really make it purposeful so that it can be used in all of our classrooms to support our students. In terms of operations, all buildings are up to date on emergency drill exercises. Our fall sports are coming to an end as well. That season is winding down and winter sports are right around the corner with practices beginning on November 18th. We've submitted a request and it was just approved to combine our girls varsity basketball team with Weebatuck. Mildred will be the host for that. And we are also continuing the plan for a combined wrestling club with a 3-year plan that was previously presented to the board. In hopes that that will grow into an official sport over time. I want to thank Deputy Freer and apologize for spelling his name wrong. Deputy Freer, the Millbrook Fire, Police Department and the Millbrook Business Association, and all the businesses that participated in our trick or treat, Elm Drive's, second annual little parade through the village, super cute. And also a thank you to the Millbrook Rotary who purchased and presented dictionaries to each of our 3rd grade students. So thank you to all of our community partners and including the Millbrook Fire Department for their safety assembly for students and teachers at Alden Place. I want to give a big thank you to the Millbrook PTO for sponsoring the Dunkin' Donuts with the principal. Mr. Cabello was thrilled about this event. It was full with 40 students. That was the capacity that they believed that they could accommodate and they were able to fill it. So that was a really awesome event. Invitations have been sent out for the wellness fair, which is due to take place in April from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And in addition to the work that Samantha's been doing here locally, she is going to join a county team charged with cataloging county resources for children and creating a guide for all schools. So one of the things, Dr. Watkins and I attended a meeting at BOCES of superintendents and of the assistant superintendents in the curriculum position. And one of the things that we said that we really need is resources in the community to support our students, that school districts are doing everything that they can. But the need is really great and it's growing. And so as a county, we need to be clear about what services are available and who those points of contact are. So there will be a group of people from school districts around the county putting that together. And Samantha Lynch, Alicia O'Connell, and Alex Chanowski have teamed up with a number of community organizations to help gather food to help with the holidays this year. And thank you to Hannaford and Verona's for supporting that effort in donating or actually reducing cost of turkeys, depending on which store. And then additionally, the E&L department has been working closely to ensure that all of our new coming families have their basic necessities of warm winter clothing. And Ms. Nairati would like to thank those who generously purchased and donated some coats and gloves for our students. And then I just have some upcoming events highlighted for you.
Questions?
I have a question, not interrupting anyone else. The Veterans Day breakfast and ceremony this Friday,
Yes.
is that something, not the breakfast, but if a board member wanted to come to the ceremony, would that be okay?
Yeah, it's in the Millbrook, at the Millbrook Middle School auditorium.
Time? I mean, it'll be after, well, that's when the breakfast, sometime after that.
Hold please.
That's okay.
I will get that. Yes.
I don't need it.
Anybody else? Okay.
Wait, can I just want really quickly, I know that she, I'm sorry,
I keep taking.
the winter necessity, the clothing and stuff like that, if people still wanted to donate that, is that an ongoing thing, or was that something where they gathered?
Yeah, so, I can tell you that, either Mrs. Lynch, Ms. O'Connell, or Ms. Chanowski would be able to tell you what items are still outstanding.
Okay.
But we are also taking any non-perishable foods, starting on the 6th through the 18th.
Mhm.
Walden's Kindness Club and the Middle School Interact Club are accepting any donations of non-perishable foods. And then that will be put together for families for the holidays.
Okay, I was just thinking, like, if people are still going through, like, they're starting to get their winter clothes out and they realize things don't fit, or if they have things that are in good shape, can they still?
Absolutely,
Like,
and truly, especially at Elm Drive, they always need to have spare clothing on
Okay.
hand. So if you have any clothing that, you know, is in good shape and could be used as a backup for a child, send it in, we'll wash it, we'll get it all ready and we'll store it in case we ever need it. The ceremony is at 8 a.m.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. So good evening, everyone. So just a few updates from the Pupil Personnel Services Office. So throughout this school year, I'm working to organize some different visits to neighboring school districts within our county. Last week, myself and Ms. Quattrone had the opportunity to visit several special education programs in both Weebatuck and Pine Plains. And the purpose of this is for us to be able to get into other districts and kind of see the programs that they have there. For kind of a multifaceted reason, right? So that we are able to learn from one another as these neighboring school districts that we are. And take some best practices back to our district. Of things that they're doing there, but also, so again, since we are so small, right? Sometimes we know that we do need to do program searches for some of our special education students if we don't have the programming here. We've been very lucky in the past few years to bring some of our students back into district. And that is obviously always our goal to either maintain them within district or bring them back if they're already placed out. But again, in an effort to best service their needs, we want to make sure they're appropriately placed. And so being able to see programs in district schools, we're able to then sometimes enter into agreements with those school districts of them accepting our students if that need arises. So it kind of allows us to see what these programs are, what the level of functioning of those students are, to see if there will be any overlap and matches for these students that we may be looking for an out of district placement for. And then in that same lens, I have been working to partner with other PPS directors in our neighboring school districts of Rhinebeck, Red Hook, Pine Plains, Weebatuck, Dover, and Spackenkill, to create a schedule where we all visit one another's schools, to again, do this very same thing, right? Look at the special education programs we have and be able to learn from one another and share best practices. So I am working to schedule when those visits are going to occur. I have, reached out to all of those directors and offered that Millbrook would be happy to host that first visitation. So once I have some more information about that and dates, I can definitely share that.
Alex, is that academic programs, or like, one of the things, at least I'd be interested in hearing
Yeah.
is the state of the clinic that they established in Weebatuck.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we're forced to, redirect some of our facilities. I mean, I don't know if that's working, that's not working, but
mhm.
if it is, and it's something we could replicate.
Yeah. So when I was there, we did that, the purpose of our visit was to go look at their special education academic programs. But Miss Nethercott, who's their PPS director over there, had referenced their clinic that they have and kind of just pointed us in the direction of where it was. We didn't really get too much into that, but I can definitely reach out to her and see, like you're saying, what the status of that is, how they feel it's working for them. And then again, work to kind of get some more information and bring that back to see if it's something that we want to pursue.
Yeah, that would be
They
good.
have both mental health and also like physical health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, from what I said earlier, we have to make some, one way or another, we're gonna have to make some decisions that may not be, what we really want, but having that kind of information in our back pocket, does it work? How does it work?
Yeah.
How much space is it? All that good stuff.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in the lens of professional development, we did have our superintendent's conference day today. Back on our early release day in October, myself, our school psychologists, our speech and language pathologists, and then a few other staff members, 2 special education teachers and 1 aide, participated in a CPI training, crisis prevention intervention training, which just helps provide de-escalation strategies to educators. So we participated in that, and then today we were able to bring that training to all of our TAs, aides, and monitors. So again, just so that we can continue to work to support our students in the buildings when they are struggling with some of those emotions and behaviors. Additionally, school counselors, psychologists, nurses, and then myself and Samantha Lynch participated in a training today about creating suicide safety in schools. And we're working to kind of not create, but ensure that our actions we need to take in some of those moments align district-wide so that it is working all the way from Elm Drive up to the high school and that process is the same and seamless. And then finally, throughout last year and into the summer, as an administration team, we participated in a training centered on the different models of co-teaching and how to best support our teachers in strengthening their practice in this area. And so today, we had many of our co-teaching pairs, all of them at the elementary level, and then we started with some of them at the secondary level here at the middle school. Worked with Lisa Hamill in getting some coaching opportunities for that co-teaching.
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
John?
Good afternoon, facilities work with the local fire department to update each building's Knox boxes, including the entry keys, then the boxes on the outside of the building that the fire department needs to get in an emergency, they have the code, get the key, they can get into the building, get into all the offices and classrooms. So we updated all the buildings, so we're all good to go with that. In the middle school, as per the student government request, maintenance staff trim bushes on the rear property and along the fence to make it easier to retrieve the balls. On recess, they've been kicking the balls over the fence and they go into the bushes and everything. So the kids have had a tough time getting the balls out of there, so we trimmed them all nice, so you can get out there and get the balls. I love when I get emails from student government, it's great, I take care of them right away. And I know we repaired 2 speed limits in the tunnels, we climbed in the tunnels. We've been inspecting them every month. And when we notice a leak, we get right on it and we repair ourselves. Guys have been really great, trying to get tunnels taken care of that. Anybody got any questions on the other things on the report? Happy to answer it.
Hopefully you won't be climbing the tunnels for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
So we're all set for, I mean, we're basically, now we start bringing all the sports in indoors. We're all set for all the.
We're all set, that better feel everything's been put away, it's up there. One of our new maintenance guys, Brian's been working with Mr. Hamel very closely, fields are every day, so the fields are all set for the winter. And we're all ready to go for inside sports. We got basketball starting up and
And there was a note from one of our parents, I think it was one of our parents, that about the stuff dripping on the,
it's been painted over with stain kill.
okay,
So now we gotta keep an eye on that. So when it rains, if you wipe it down right away.
Yeah.
It'll stay clean, you can't read it, so
okay.
it's like the daily thing, whenever it rains, you gotta check it. I
Well,
feel
the
that
thing
whole
in the
outside.
gym, I find that we saw those.
Above the bleachers.
Yeah.
That's the road coming down. I caught the whole outside of that myself when I first started here, the yellow cone. It's coming through the water, the locked window. And the water is dripping down.
So one of our parents emailed us about, you know, that is how embarrassing it is to have other schools come in and see our, you know, our roofs leaking and our ceilings falling and, so we wanted to make sure that, you know, to the best we can, we take care of that stuff.
And I was actually in there today, we were using a genie to go up and work on the air handlers and check that, so we're just gonna keep on top of it.
Okay. Good. All right, very good. Any questions for John?
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Elliot?
Good evening. From the business office, our audit is completed. Our corrective action plan has been drafted. We'll bring it as one of our upcoming board meetings, hopefully the next one. I'll have it on the agenda. Just 2 items of note. They're both already in remediation, so we'll have the board approve it. Once the board approves it, we'll send it to the state. We still have plenty of time to do that. But overall, very clean audit, so thank you to everybody that was part of that process. We've started doing an accounts receivable analysis, so this is just something that we're doing our due diligence. Accounts receivable is when people owe the district money, and we've always sent out invoices when people owe us money. We're looking to really drill down the age of the outstanding debt to the district and what can be done to collect on those debts that need to be further looked into. We're trying to make sure that we're doing all the due diligence we need to, so that we can never be accused of giving away any money and providing any gifts of public funds. So people owe money to the district. We want to make sure that we get what we're entitled to. So that's just something that's new for this year. It's very early in the process, but should anything require board action to adopt in terms of policy or procedure, we would bring that forward. Once we've gotten a little bit further down the road, we just want to give you a heads up that we're working on that. We're already working on the 25-26 budget. We have version 1, usually takes us about 7 or 8 versions to get it final, but our foundational rollover budget is currently being tabulated, calculated, and put together. So we've got our notes. We're going to start our budget meetings with our budget builders probably in January. So the cabinet will be reviewing it at the end of this month and into December. Again, just to get us on the same page, and then we'll start working with our department heads and building leaders into the next calendar year. School tax collection deadline was Friday, November 1st. As of Friday during the workday, we had collected $24.1 million in tax revenue. That's approximately 92% of what we anticipated to collect. People had until Friday to postmark their checks, so we're hoping that the last 8%-ish is in the mail in some stage of processing, and we're going to get our hands on it this week. We are just a hair ahead of where we were last year on the due date, so not uncommon for the last few checks to come in the last couple of days. Personnel office, you can see we just listed out all the open positions that we have still currently recruiting for. One of the real big ticket ones is temporary and substitute nurses. We always have a high need for medical professionals on campus, and so even part-time per diem, if you know anybody that's maybe a nurse at the ER or a clinic and they want to pick up an extra day or two here and there, we would love to have a full complement of sub nurses available. So if anybody that's listening at home or knows anybody that would be interested in picking up some shifts here, there's always a need in district for some sort of nursing profession. And there's other sub positions there as well. In addition to what John shared about the facilities department, all of our annual BOCES fire inspections, and that's required for our certificate of occupancy. They've all been completed. We've passed all those inspections. We've also had the full campus inspected by our insurance company, and we passed those inspections as well. Additionally, roughly 90% of our water results have been received. We added the high school results that just came in last week to the website. So again, following up on our last board meeting presentation, anybody that has any questions about water testing, very simple, go to the website, millbrookcsd.org. If you type the word water into the search field, literally the first link that comes up is our subpage that has all the testing information, a letter from us explaining what it's for, and all of the test results that we have received. The last results that we're waiting for are mostly science labs at the high school and outdoor hose spigots here at the middle school and high school. So again, not necessarily common drinking outlets, but we want to test everything comprehensively just so we know the age and condition of our domestic water infrastructure. So once we get that last couple of items reported, we'll post those online as well, and they'll be available for anybody to review. Any questions, please reach out to myself or Mr. Mullins. The technology department is currently beta testing a GoGuardian parent portal. So for those of you that have children in the district, you may have heard about GoGuardian. It's one of our filtering protocols where teachers can keep an eye on what our kids are doing during class. The child has an opportunity to chat with the teacher independently. We brought this on during COVID. And probably over a year ago, we had started looking into whether or not we could give parents the opportunity to monitor at home outside of school hours. And so we've been testing that at the tech department level, just internally, and looking at what that rollout would look like for families. And then we'll be bringing that up in the future. So just another opportunity for parents to keep an eye on their kids on their Chromebook. So at this time of night, when you're home with your kids, you'd be able to see what they're doing, just like we can see what they're doing. It also would allow parents to block certain websites and activities on the Chromebooks to allow the kids to use the device for instruction, but not necessarily have free reign with it. So more to come on that as well. The district is working with Dutchess BOCES in a cybersecurity cohort that is going to really address our continuity of operations needs. Should there be a cyber attack, we want to do everything we can to not get attacked. And in the event that we do sustain an attack, what does our continuity of operations look like, both from instruction and back of house operations in terms of disaster response and recovery, continuity. The cohort also allocates roughly a day every 2 weeks of one of Dutchess BOCES professionals to work with us on our data privacy agreements to really look into the compliance and feasibility of any software platforms or websites that our teachers may want to use for instructional tech, so that they're helping with that vetting process to make sure that everything we do is above board, NIST compliant, and keeping our kids' data safe. We've been upgrading our virtual servers. So if you remember from a couple of years ago, our 5-year tech plan laid out all the big ticket updates we had to do this year. I'm gonna say it's as simply as possible. We have physical servers and then we have virtual servers. Virtual servers have to live on a piece of equipment. And so the equipment that house them, they're called server farms. They are in the process of being upgraded. We're about 50% done with that. Our tech department and our support vendors have been working very hard to do this very quietly, off hours, with minimal interruption to our operations. And I think they've been doing a great job of that. So thank you, tech guys, for making that happen and making it happen pretty seamlessly. My last notes on our capital project, we had our first public information session on Wednesday, October 30th. Our next one is scheduled for Wednesday, November 13th at 6:30 p.m. here at the middle school auditorium. So we would encourage anybody who'd like to have a dialogue with us, ask some questions in real time to the administration and the board members present. Please come out on Wednesday evening, the 13th of November at 6:30 p.m. at the Millbrook Middle School auditorium. Our virtual presentation was recorded. It's on the website as well. So again, if you go to millbrookcsd.org, there's a button right at the top on the right that says capital project. It includes all of our promotional materials, all the flyers, PDF versions of what we sent home, infographics, short clips with Q&A with myself and the superintendent, and also a full-scale presentation, which was a replica of what we did in public session on the 30th and what we will do on the 13th. So that's all out there. And just as a reminder, if anybody is looking to register to vote in the district referendum in November 19th or in the general vote, they can see Ms. Sprague in the superintendent's office. For the 19th, you have until the 14th, I believe, to register, right? Okay, so if you haven't registered, you can register just to vote in this upcoming proposition vote on the 19th. That vote is November 19th from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. again in the middle school auditorium lobby. Questions?
The Go Guardian. So if a child goes on something at night, the school, that you only know if they do it when they're in the buildings?
I'm gonna answer this very carefully.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't ask you.
yeah, I don't need to know.
So
It can
That-
be
that's
executive,
fine.
it can be executive.
Okay.
you know.
question, yeah, I don't wanna really speak to what we can and can't do
Yep.
publicly.
Right.
Gotcha, okay,
We can talk more about that offline.
gotcha.
So Elliot, the tech department, are they, regularly staying on top of remote learning? I mean, not that anyone wants to see it happen again, but if we had to take a grade, if we had to take a building, if we had to take one classroom offline for a week, are we ready?
I think we're a lot more ready than we were 4.5 years ago when
Yeah.
COVID hit, and I don't say that, loosely. I mean, I think that was the first time we ever had to consider it, right?
Yeah.
Given the age and condition of our buildings, all the reasons why we have the vote on the 19th, we've maintained readiness, in terms of the tech department side. So like, I guess the biggest variable I think in play right now is, did the kids all bring their Chromebooks home that day?
Well, and some of them.
And some of them don't.
By practice,
Right.
it's not a practice for them to get them home, to the
Right.
age of the, and responsibility of the learners,
Right.
right?
So for certain grade levels, we keep them here,
Yeah.
but could we deploy them within 24 to 48 hours? Certainly.
Okay.
And I think from the software and network management side, we have the network capacity, we have all the filtration and software in place. Should we need to, we're ready to go. And I think even with the maximum temperature bill on the governor's desk and the changing weather patterns, it may not be anything catastrophic. It could be as simple as we ran out of snow days, or we've got a really hot day and we need to flip to remote. So I think currently with a day or two notice, we can have everybody take their devices home.
I mean, as I said earlier, the decisions that we're gonna have to make may, geez, that the ceiling came down in that room, they can't be in school. Or it's 92 degrees in that room, they can't be in school.
Mhm.
And, we as a board, you as the administration need to be ready you know, especially depending on how the vote goes. We still, you know, it's gonna be a couple of years before things change dramatically, you know, so. I wanna make sure that the district is ready if it happens, not that, you know, it's part of our plan to go remote or anything like that. But we have to be ready,
So
okay? Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Amy?
So, it's a little bit of a highlight reel because I think everybody's had an opportunity to talk about what I reported on, but just to reiterate that, in addition to our website, as Elliot shared on our social media, the reels are out there. So each week we've been releasing, a different reel. They are all housed on a playlist within our YouTube channel, so people can go back and easily find them. Those are linked in our weekly newsletter that goes home, so that if you have lost track of where it is, it's easily accessible. We added a pop-up onto the website with the graphic that we have sent home. We backpacked that graphic regarding the public forum on the 13th, just to try to create that interest and invitation to our families to attend for the public forum. Just trying to do some other things to help people understand what the proposition is about, what the capital project vote. So that's all there. Today was like a fine-tuned clock. It was crazy today. Our superintendent's conference day was like everybody was going in a million different directions, but in a very calm and organized manner, I have to say. So it was very personalized, a learning day for our staff. Elementary had the opportunity to work with Shelley Klein again, based on some summer work and continuation of that work. We had the opportunity for, as we said, Lisa Hamill came back to work specifically with all of our co-teaching teams, the ICT teams at the elementary level, and then a little bit into grade 6 and part of 7. We had Garrett Jones-Roy back working solely with social studies for part of the day, and solely with ELA for part of the day to allow them to go deeper. So the sessions were really great. I had the opportunity to dip in to all of them at different times. We also had staff members travel to Arlington because Newsella and Informative were doing a session. They had training at the beginning of the year for Superintendent's Conference Day. They invited our teachers to go to get certified Informative. So several teachers opted to do that for part of their day. In addition to BOCES offered a math for half of the day on building thinking in the classrooms, and science with building inquiry in a science classroom, thinking like a scientific learner. So it was very exciting. So everybody was everywhere. So, but I've been receiving updates from the various departments on what they were able to accomplish. We had music folks out at conferences. Our PE department worked on their curriculum map. So there was something for everyone. So I was really, really pleased with how that went. I think Caroline already talked about the collaboration at BOCES. So the assistant superintendents did meet countywide. We have developed 3 county goals, one of them being the resources for mental health. We'll see how those groups combine. One of them was on MTSS, which I will be on. So we'll learn more, and I will give updates as they come. Elliot did invite me into the NIST CSF sub-team. So we have 3 additional meetings that are going to be happening, talking about the curricular impact if we were under a cyber attack. And just thank you again to the board members who are part of the data committee. That we had our first data committee meeting last week, which everyone participated in a QFT for the question formulation technique, going around how does the district move from collecting data to utilizing that data and coming up with questions to help guide our focus. And then from there, we started reviewing the data trackers that each of the buildings are currently using. that also fed into one of the sections that our staff had specifically on using one of our systems through at Vista, which is Ames, that allows for that progress monitoring track. In a nutshell, any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, you guys know the future agenda items. Do you have any comments or questions? Elliot, sorry, I know I'm bouncing around, but on the tech, the other thing I'd really like to see the tech group look at is there any key equipment or key capabilities in any building that you know, if for some reason we shut a building down or whatever, is there anything that we would have to move like out of Elm Drive or out of Alden that because the entire district relies on it? I'm not asking you to answer that question. I'm asking.
Yeah, I was gonna say that can be an exec session conversation,
Yeah.
but I will say that what I can say publicly is that our network equipment is not evenly dispersed.
Okay.
And so that would be something that we would have to consider based on those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, like, and again, it's just input for the board, but we need to know what stands in our way of responding or reacting. All right, very good. So executive session, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So
We have, do we do public?
We don't have any.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't.
so moved to go to.
Thank you. Let's do it a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any against? Okay. All right, very good. Anybody need 5?